everybody. Thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today we'll be taking a look at Rodeo number 3 by Evan Salazar. As you'll have seen in the video that I posted yesterday, I had just read and really enjoyed issues 1 and 2 of Rodeo, and pretty much right after that, Evan Salazar released issue number 3, so I snatched it up, and I wanted to go ahead and make a video on this one as well, and we'll just put them out back to back because the other video I think is fine as it is. But I really enjoy this series, and so 2 days in a row pumping it I think is a good thing. And I guess I got really lucky because in the back of this it seems like there was a pretty big break between issues, so I'm glad that I got to read them with like a week or two break between, and hopefully the next one will be out soon, because sooner than like 3-year break, because I really enjoy this story, and it seems like a large story that could keep going for a while. There's a lot of nice like decompression in the story, I think, and that means that it could take longer to play out. There seems like there's a lot going on in here that should take a while to play out, but hopefully we get to see it finished as well. Anyways, this is a really cool story about a girl kind of searching into her family history a little. I still don't know. It's like a mystery, and so all the pieces aren't quite there yet. But leaving off from issue 2, you could go back and watch the video yesterday, kind of get the summary, I guess. So I'll just go forward from there. She's out with her uncle trying to chase down a photograph and an author of a book. This is The Theory of Autonoetic Consciousness, is the book that's been mentioned a few times. This issue feels a little bit less potentially schizophrenic. Like I thought maybe the character was going a little crazy, but now I realize it was just a mystery. So we have a cool thing here where we're going back to a character that we're about to get introduced to, I believe, and seeing that character in 1987 kind of going along and taking pictures. This is the person, I think, who took the picture that our main character is chasing down. And now we see that there's this really cool, like, formal transition where I believe this is the same spot in the world that was being represented in 1987, and now we're making the jump to the present, and I think that's really cool. Or at least, if that's not the case, kind of just showing like, okay, this was the road trip they were taking and this is the road trip they're taking. But because she is going back to the area that this is all happening, I think this is the same spot on the road. And I really like that as a formal technique. And I also really like that Evan Salazar didn't feel any need to put like, 2023 or whatever right there, like the coming soon, and then kind of the everything cracked and falling apart and advertised here, like this is an area that's going to be burgeoning and then it's area that's fallen apart, is plenty of information if you're an attentive reader to get that we've had a time jump, and that's really awesome. So what we have here is Abigail is now with her uncle, who knows a little bit more about this family history that she's trying to dig into, and they're on a drive to go to the town of Put, I believe is how you say it, to see the stuff of this third character, Trutman, the photographer that she's interested in. I really, really like this page here as well, this kind of diagrammatic introduction that's also like an airport. Yeah, I just think the graphics here are really good, but also has like, this is Abigail, this is Uncle Terry, and then there's Lincoln and Logan Troutman, who are the characters that we saw here, and Lincoln Troutman's the photographer that she's looking for. This is new, I want you to go buy it, so I don't want to give away too much of what's going on. There's a lot of just really great, it almost feels like manga pacing to me, where it's a little more focused on conversation and little subtle movements and stuff like that. So the whole issue is pretty much a conversation that they're having like while on this car trip, and just learning more about the world that they're in. One thing that was really cool that Evan did for, I think, just all the pre-orders, is he sent along the pencil sketch for different panels that he used to construct the book. So this is really awesome. I've got the original pencil drawing that led to this piece. That gives you another reason to start following Evan's work and supporting it He's doing cool things like this. I don't know that he's going to do this in future issues, but just kind of considerate, thoughtful little things that, doing that for a readership when you're an independent person like this, I think is really smart. As you can see, great cartooning throughout. Love the cartooning look, the look of it. I think it goes beyond just like functional cartooning to have a pretty appealing style and everything like that. And there's these good rhythmic breakdowns with the grids. So really solid, really writing driven, even though I think the art is great as well. I think Evan fits into this category of like the Sean Knickerbocker Rust Belt review type of approach to comics, where it's very much writer driven, very much down to earth, slice of life type of stuff, interested in family histories and people and characters. Just really love this type of comic. And then some another really fun formal thing that syncs up with some of these other strategies I've been seeing people do lately that are totally influencing me, thinking about how I want to move forward with comics in my own life in terms of a creator, is finding ways to take all the little ideas of things that you would like to do a story and synchronize them somehow into a larger project so it doesn't feel so scatterbrained. And it can come to represent like like this is a singular piece of artistic production. So he's using the idea of diegetic music from film, which is when like here the characters turn on the radio and you hear the song Plain Jane Walker, Always Fighting to Survive, in the car. Like if they turn on music in a movie and it's actually part of the scene, it's not just soundtrack, that's diegetic music. And he's kind of having a diegetic story in here, which is really interesting, that has really nothing to do, as far as I know so far. Maybe it does, maybe this is part of the family history, but here's a song about Plain Jane, and then this story seems like this now is a one-man anthology, and this is a different story. That's the story of Plain Jane Walker, the Ballad of Plain Jane Walker, and he gets to take a break from the main story and tell a Western story and just get that out of his system, but it's still part of the world, at least diegetically. But maybe this will wrap back around and be part of the family history. I'm not sure, but I think it's a really interesting strategy. And then you have some of the lyrics here on the back. So really well written, really well drawn. I think there's some really clever formal stuff, and I think there's some really clever like formal, not comics formalisms, but just narrative storytelling formalisms in the way that he's integrating these things. So really, really solid stuff all the way through. Highly recommend Rodeo by Evan Salazar. Solid Yellow, Path of the Shades by Clarence Doss is a really cool ongoing project that Living the Line will be producing. Clarence is a PhD student from Fiji who's studying the myths of Fiji for his doctoral thesis. And part of that study project is that he's producing these comics. They're kind of like Hellboy, where there's these little short stories that capture all of these different mythologies. But then he's using that to wrap the project into his doctoral thesis and then provide educational material where people can come to these comics. They don't have to read his PhD thesis. They can come to the comics and get a more consumable version of the mythology of Fiji.
Make sure to like, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell.